Hello, my LACRYPT keepers. So I was scrolling through my Facebook timeline and I happened to stumble across a book called My Antifa Lover. So when I saw this book, I knew it was something I would have to review on my channel. And while I knew it was going to be bad, I completely underestimated how bad it truly was going to be. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm not only a queer, I'm also a hardcore leftist. Oh, shit, wrong prop. There we go, that's better. Don't tell HR I made that mistake or George Soros won't give me my paycheck. So, what exactly happens in this book? Well, to be honest, it is quite difficult to read, so I'll explain the plot as best I can. The book opens with a scene that actually happens towards the end of the book. The protagonist,
Alexandria Preston,
is lying in the wreckage of her burning home. A fire set presumably by the man she has fallen in love with, an Antifa protester that she refers to only as Chris. She thinks about how much she wishes she had told him how she feels about him. Despite the fact that she is in a house that, from what we can gather, he is burning down currently. There's then a flashback to the day that Alexandria and her Antifa lover meet. Alexandria has just helped pass a bill that will require men to pay $1,000 if they divorce their wives. By the way, it becomes increasingly obvious throughout this book that the author has exactly zero idea how politics actually work. I have no idea what the stance or platform of any of these characters are, to be perfectly honest with you. So she passes this bill, which I can't find any logical person ever being in favor of. It's very strange. It's a very strange thing, and something that would never actually, I don't think would ever actually be a bill. And when she walks outside, there are a ton of protesters, and one of them catches her eye. Oh, also, the reason she passed this bill is because apparently a man divorced her sister, but her sister is literally never brought up again in the entire book. In fact, whenever she brings up her family, she only brings up her mother and brother. So I think the author created the sister character purely for this scenario and then forgot that she had created a sister character for the protagonist. Oh, and this author is definitely going through a divorce because she talks about this divorce bill for like several pages, as well as how god-awful men are, which, I mean, yeah. So as Alexandria is walking into this group of protesters, this man catches her eye, and he goes to ask her a question, and the question is, but what about the men's? And Alexandria goes, I never thought about the men's. So she goes home and she's having like this existential crisis about whether she actually did the right thing on this bill, because she didn't even think to consider the viewpoint of the people it would actually be affecting, which is how Republican male politicians tend to operate if we're being perfectly honest with ourselves. Oh my fucking god, do you hear that? Do you guys have to fuck upstairs like right now? I swear to fucking god, every time I try to film. Maybe listening to me review this romance novel put them in the mood. So because she's having this existential crisis, she decides she's going to go on a run in her favorite childhood park. Also, I'm not entirely sure where this is set. You would think it would be DC, but also it says that she's living in Seattle, but also the locations in this are really screwy. Like, I'm not entirely sure where everyone is from or where everyone is currently at any given time. And who shows up in the woods but Alexandria's Antifa lover? And apparently his name is Corner, which, I mean, as far as stupid dirty kid names go, is pretty on point. I gotta give the author that. Like, I knew a kid named Breakfast, so I can't even, like, really judge. And at first I was like, oh no, because he like came out of the bushes. Like, I straight up thought that this was going to be one of those like non-consent fantasies, but no, apparently dude just likes to go running there too. And so he tries to talk to Alexandria and she is a bitch to him, which is understandable. I am also a bitch to random men I meet because most of them are terrible, but dude does seem to pick up what she's putting down and simply hands her his phone number and leaves. And she just can't get him off her mind. So she goes back to her apartment to talk about her loneliness for 6 pages while she eats Chinese food. And that's when the Antifa attacks. And pretty reasonably, she thinks it must be the handiwork of the man she met earlier that day. So she calls him and cusses him out. Meanwhile, the protesters outside, angry about divorce bill, smash out her window and leave her bleeding on the ground. She wakes up in the hospital with Corner at the end of her bed. God, that is really a stupid fucking name. Like, it was hard for me to take seriously while I was reading it too. And she is pissed that they let him in, because she still thinks that he's the one who led the protest to attack her. That he is the leader of the Antifas. So, learning time, Antifa does not have a leader, because it's not an organization. It's just a group of people, mainly anarchists and socialists, who oppose fascism. If you are anti-fascism, you are Antifa. So as it turns out, Corner actually saved Alexandria. Now it turns out Alexandria's apartment is royally fucked, so Corner offers her a place to stay for a few days. And the next 2 to 4 chapters are literally them just doing romance novel stuff. And not even like the fun, smutty stuff either, like literal romance stuff. Like he makes her toast, and they order Chinese food, and they watch a documentary about squirrels. And I'm not gonna lie, you guys, I skimmed through a lot of that shit because it was boring. Like, how fucking lonely are you that your romantic fantasy is just some guy eating Chinese food with you? Dear God, cis women in this country have extremely low standards. You are better than this. So while they're watching documentaries about squirrels and eating Chinese food, Alexandria mentions her shitty boss to Corner. His name is Benedict Wilbur, and he is the head of the Senate. And definitely Alexandria's boss at her Congress job. And he wants to get rid of the police and will do whatever he can to make it happen. But Alexandria's Antifa lover doesn't like that plan. He sure doesn't want the abolition of the police. Not like bad guy boss Benedict Wilbur, the head of the Senate. So once Alexandria is healed up, she stands up to Benedict Wilbur about his anti-police stance. And he is big mad because he wants to get rid of the police very much. The head of the Senate wants to get rid of the police very, very much. So the next day when Alexandria goes into her job, she walks past Benedict Wilbur's office. And who's inside but her Antifa lover? And plot twist, as it turns out, her Antifa lover is actually the son of her bad guy Senate boss. Gasp! The drama! Does it make any sense in the narrative? No! Do I even give a shit? No! But the author needed some excuse to make the plot happen. So Alexandria is heartbroken that her Antifa lover isn't who he said he was. And that in fact his name is not Corner at all, but Chris. And seriously, Boo, how did you not know that Corner wasn't his real name? Girl, you got elected into office. So she tells him she never wants to see him again. But when she goes back home to talk about her loneliness and eat Chinese food again, a bunch of protesters show up. Again! Girl, have you not hired any private security yet? You're a congresswoman and multiple attempts have been made on your life. Like, how, you don't have security yet? I mean, I'm cool with it. I just find it surprising. And this time the protesters set her shit on fire. And yet again, she thinks it has to be because her Antifa lover told these protesters to. And so she's dying in this burning house. And this motherfucker shows up and saves her again. Like, it's literally the exact same plot that happened earlier in the book. But this time the building is on fire. And after he saves her, they get back together and that's it, the end. Happily ever after, Congresswoman and con man. What the fuck did I just read? Like, Jessica Stranger, who are you? What are your politics? Why did you choose to write this? And while I've had a lot of fun ribbing on you, Jessica, I know that there is a decent chance you might see this video. And if you do, I do ask, please get at me, follow me on Twitter, leave a comment, Find some way to contact me, Jessica Stranger, because I think you and I have a lot to fucking talk about, girl.